This morning we will read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 20, Text 49, the last text of the chapter. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Narottanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudirayat Nasveshya Bhatresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavta Naistike. So, that's the Sanskrit. Vanin Muni Nipasnata. Vanin Muni Nipasnata. Nirham Yachtan Papedire. Varsharuda Yata Sita. Svapindan Kala Agate. Vanin Muni Nipasnata. Niham Yachtan Papedire. Varsaruda Yata Sita. Svapindan Kala Agate. Vanin Muni Nipasnata. Nirgam Yachtam Papedire. Varsaruda Yata Sita. Svapindan Kala Agate. Vanin Muni Nipasnata. Nirgam Yachtam Papedire. Varsaruda Yata Sita. Svapindan Kala Agate.
Vanin Muni Nipasnata.
Vanin Muni Nipasnata.
Nirgan Yata Prapedire.
Nirgam Yachtam Papedire.
Varsharuda Yata Sida.
Varsaruda Yata Sita.
Pindan Kala Agate.
Svapindan Kala Agate. Someone else? Vanin Muni Nipasnata. Nirgam Yachtam Papedire. Varsaruda Yata Sida. Svapindan Kala Agate. Someone else? No. Okay. We continue. Word for word translation. I bring it on the screen here. Varnik. The merchants. Muni. Renunciant sages. Drepa. Kings. Snata. And brahmachari students. Nirgamya. Going out. Artan. Their desired objects. Papedire. Obtained. Varsha. By the rain. Ruda, checked. Yata, S. Siddha, perfected persons. Svapindan, the forms they aspire for. Kale, when the time. Agate has come. Translation and purport. The translation is by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. The purport is by Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The merchants, sages, kings, and brahmachari students, kept in by the rain, were at last free to go out and attain their desired objects, just as those who achieve perfection in this life can, when the proper time comes, leave the material body and attain their respective forms. So we can repeat together. The merchants, the sages, kings, and brahmachari students, kept in by the rain, were at last free to go out and attain their desired objects, just as those who achieve perfection in this life, they can, when the proper time comes, leave the material body and attain their respective forms. So the verse says that the Chaturmasya, the rainy season, comes to an end. When it comes to an end, everyone, the time is there to move on. Everyone can do his duties again. The merchant can do his duties. He can do business, travel again. That the sages, they can do their business. They want to preach. They can go out and preach. The kings can do their business. They want to collect taxes. During the rainy season, it's not possible. So after that, they start to collect taxes. And the brahmachari students, they can go out. And yeah, let's see what Prabhupada says in the purport. But the essence of the verse is that, yes, Chaturmasya is gone, and they can do their duties again. What they can do, what they desired for. That, like devotees, what do they desire at the end of the body? They want to go to the spiritual world. The impersonalists, they want to merge with Brahman. That the pious people in goodness, they want to go to heaven. That so at the end of the body, they can attain their goal if they have reached perfection. That's so that's the analogy in the verse. Is it understood what we are discussing?
I'm not sure. Sorry.
Yeah, what is the issue?
So we're talking at the end of the rainy season?
Yeah, it's compared with the end of the body. Yeah. When you leave the body, then you can attain the perfection you have desired. You have to wait till the end of the body to go back to the spiritual world.
I have a question.
Yeah, but let's first read the comment. But just if you have understood the analogy, that's what I want to know. Good. Now, the purport. Srila Prabhupada comments, in Vrindavan, the autumn season was very beautiful. Then at that time, because of the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna and Balaram. The mercantile community, the royal order, and the sages were free to move to achieve their desired benedictions. Similarly, the transcendentalists, when freed from the engagement of the material body, also achieve their desired goal. During the rainy season, the mercantile community cannot move from one place to another and do not get their desired profit, nor can the royal order go from one place to another to collect taxes from the people. As for saintly persons, one must travel to preach transcendental knowledge. They also are restrained by the rainy season. But during the autumn, all of them leaves their confines, their prison. Because of the material body, he cannot actually enjoy spiritual achievements. But as soon as he gives up the body, or after death, the jnani merges into the spiritual effulgence of the Supreme Lord. The yogi transfers himself to various higher planets, and the devotees go to the planet of the Supreme Lord, Goloka Vrindavan, or the Vaikunthas, and thus enjoy his eternal spiritual life. Thus ends the purpose of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada to the 10th canto, 20th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Rainy Seasons and Autumn in Vrindavan. Om Ajnana Timrandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Staptam Yena Bhutale Svyam Rupakadamyam Dadati Svapadantikam. Vandeham Shiru Shiyuda Padakamelam Shirum Vaishnavam Shah. Shri Rupam Sagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijanasaitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sakalita Shri Vishakam Vitam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bandhu Tyatpate Gopesha Gopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gauranga Radhe Vinnavanishve Vashavan Shuta Devi Panamama Hare Priya Pankha Kalprabhasha Kripa Shinvevasha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinami. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharini. Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Dasatani Srila Prabhupada Ki. So we have to wait until the end of the body to achieve our perfection. Then at the end of the body, the time has come. That's Yam yam vapi smrambavam tayant ante kalevram tam tamavete kantya sutatat bhava bhavata. What consciousness you have cultivated during your life and which manifests at the time of death will determine your next destination, your next body. So we see that means they have in this verse different transcendentalists have different goals. But the devotees have only one goal, is to serve with love the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is the purity of their desire. It's the purity of our desire which brings us back to Godhead. Prabhupada said, purity is the force. So, in our process of Krishna consciousness, we try to purify our desire. And if we come to the pure desire to serve Krishna out of love without asking anything material, then this purity will bring us back to Godhead. So we need a strong desire to please Krishna during our lives. And the wives of the Brahmins, which is in the 23rd chapter of the Stand Count. We are in the 20th chapter, 3 chapters further. There we will hear about the wives of the ritualistic Brahmins, how they had a strong desire to please Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada writes at the end of this chapter 23 in Krishna book, the wives of the Brahmins, because they were inspired by pure devotional service, they did not care for any kind of opposition, because their husbands were opposed, but they didn't care for the opposition of their husbands, that they didn't care for the social customs. No, they had a very strong desire to please Krishna. So they immediately went to Krishna when they were requested by the cowherd boys to offer food to Krishna and Balaram. They went immediately to Krishna, not caring for any kind of opposition. But the Brahmins, although the Brahmins, they were doing sacrifices, ritualistic sacrifices for going to get elevation for heaven. It's another goal. They had another goal, an inferior goal. But what is the purpose of performing sacrifice in the Vedic literature? What's the purpose? Karmani, yeah. Saknachta, karmano yatra, lokoyam karma bandhana. That one must perform sacrifice for the pleasure of Vishnu. And then one has no karma. That's the purpose of sacrifice. That is. But so Krishna is the goal of sacrifice. So you must know what the goal is. PAYOJANA, what's the goal? If you don't know what the goal is, how can you attain perfection and go back to the spiritual world? So knowing the goal is PAYOJANA, is very important. And therefore, we have the entire Bhagavatam is to teach us what's the goal. That Vedasa Sarvam Amiva Vedya, Krishna says, I'm to be known by the Vedas. Krishna says also in 3:9, Janma karma smedvam yome veti tatvya tyaktva deyam punarjanma naitamam eti soryana. If you know me, my transcendental pastimes and so on, you will not take birth again, because if you really know me, you will love me. You will serve me out of love. That's the purpose of the Vedas. And these wives of the Brahmins had attained this perfection. How? Just by hearing about Krishna. By hearing. And from whom did they hear? From the Pulindas. The Pulindas, they were fruit vendors. They were forest dwellers, and they were collecting fruits and selling them. And by that they were always somewhere in Braj wandering, and they many times saw Krishna and the cowboys.
Wow.
And they also always wanted to see the Krishna and the cowboys, and by that, just by seeing them, they became attracted, they became pure devotees. And they were always telling to the wives of the Brahmins about Krishna and Balaram, cowboys.
Yeah.
And that's how they became, because daily they were buying fruits from them. So that was association with pure devotees. By that, they became pure devotees. And their goal was fixed. That from the moment they heard Krishna wants our service, they were running like anything. Their goal was there. But the Brahmins, they knew the goal of sacrifice was Krishna, but the purpose of their sacrifice was selfish. Get sense enjoyment in the heavenly planets. After that, they understood that they were repenting, but also these Brahmins, they didn't want to give food to Krishna also because they were afraid of Kamsa, and they were too much attached to their fruitive activities. But these wives of the Brahmins were not afraid of Kamsa. They didn't care. So we see these Brahmins and the wives of the Brahmins, they were both devotees. But the wives of the Brahmins had the spirit of pure devotional service. They got the goal right. And they developed all the qualities of a pure devotee. So the seed and that spirit of pure devotee is a desire to fully engage in the transcendental service of the Lord with body, mind, and words. So according to Nectar of Devotion, if one is based on that pure based on that pure desire, then one is to be considered liberated in all conditions of life. So if one uses one's body, mind, words, all one's convictions, and take refuge in Krishna, then one is considered Jivan Mukta, liberated. Because then, at the time when the Ante Kalevaram comes, the end of the body, when the time has come, as described here, you go back to the spirit. So it depends on the purity of our desire. Of course, this is also explained in Bhagavad Gita in so many ways. Thus, Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that if one sees that all activities in this world are performed by the body, a body created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. And Srila Prabhupada writes in that purport that practically speaking, the body is a machine to fulfill desires. Because of desires, we have been put into difficult circumstances to suffer and enjoy, Prabhupada writes in the purport of Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada writes in the purport of Bhagavad Gita 5.15. The Lord is the constant companion of the living entity as Paramatma, or the super soul. And when he can understand the desire of the individual soul, as one can smell the flavor of a flower by being near it, so the Paramatma can understand our desires. And he will also understand our desire of pure devotional service. We may have material desires, that's fine, but the desire for pure devotional service should be more forceful, stronger than these material desires. And that's most important. It should be stronger. Because desire, material desire, Prabhupada writes, is a subtle form of conditioning of the living entity. That's why we are here. Krishna consciousness means changing our desire. We can do that in a moment. Therefore, Prabhupada says, yes, when asked how long does it take to become Krishna conscious, he said just a second. You have just to change your desire. But the problem is we are so conditioned that all these material desires which are still there are going to overrule that desire to serve Krishna. And that's the problem. Therefore, we need purification. But as long as the desire to serve Krishna is stronger than the material desires, we will become gradually purified from these material desires. So we should make it stronger. It means Krishna should be the goal of our life in everything we do. Krishna said, Yat karosi, yat asnasi, yat yarosi, tadasi, yat tapasya sikant, yat tat krishma mat arpanam. Whatever you do, mat arpanam, do it as mat arpanam, as an offering for me. That what austerity you do, what work you do, whatever you do, Krishna should be the center. Hyasta life, Krishna should be the center. That brahmachari life, Krishna should be the center. Whatever we do, Krishna should be the center. That desire to serve Krishna should be the overhand, most powerful. Therefore, Prabhupada said, purity is the force. Purity means purity in desire. If our desire is pure, the rest will follow, will become purified. And so it depends on desire. To cultivate that desire, we must hear. Hear, very important. And hear for years. And be humble and wanting to become purified. That hear in the right attitude also. So this means that because attachment of the soul to material enjoyment is the primary cause of our being conditioned. An attachment applied for serving Krishna or his representative is the cause of liberation. Thus 3:25-20 in Bhagavatam. Prasangam atmana kavayovitam saiva sadusu krito moksadvaram apavritam. Attachment to material things is a cause of condition, going to hell. An attachment to the words of pure devotees, to hearing from them, is a path of liberation. We know the symptom of the soul is consciousness. And the action of the soul is based on desire or attachment. That's what the soul does. We are attached. All the other things are done by material nature, which are controlled by Paramatma. This is advanced spiritual knowledge that one may think I've understood it, but in my opinion, it takes 20-30 years to start to bring that in practice. It's not easy to understand that this is spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge is understood through the heart. Krishna, through realization to the heart, with Krishna gifts to the heart. If you think I know better, Krishna says, good luck, Krishna says. But it will never help. That to get this knowledge, one must understand I'm in difficulty. And the difficulty, what's the difficulty? That you have the book of Shrutakirti. What's the difficulty? The difficulty is this desire. But we cultivate this spiritual desire. So what's the difficulty? Everyone can do that. can start by hearing about Krishna. That because in the purport of Bhagavad Gita 15:1, Srila Prabhupada explains that desire is the cause of our being situated in material existence. It's not only who say that, also the Buddhists say that, and so on. But because this is preliminary knowledge, that the higher knowledge is how to act on the spiritual platform. And that desire to act on the spiritual platform must be cultivated. So one can cut that relationship with the material world by detachment. And what's the method to give up material attachment? Explained in Bhagavad Gita.
What's
the method to give up material attachment?
A higher experience.
Param
Drishtva, like
Param Drishtva.
Higher experience.
That's if you have higher experience, you will be soon able to do that. But how to do that?
The weapon of knowledge.
Weapon of knowledge. What is that knowledge? Become attached to Krishna. If one becomes attached to Krishna, one becomes detached from the material world. And our process is one of becoming attached to Krishna, because Krishna is the purificatory factor. Krishna purifies. If we think of Krishna, our mind becomes purified. We perform devotional service with our senses become purified. That's explained in Srila Upanishad. Krishna is antiseptic and prophylactic. Antiseptic when you think of Krishna, your mind becomes purified. If you hear transcendental knowledge, your intelligence becomes purified. And if your intelligence and mind are spiritualized, then no false ego anymore. You don't identify with the body anymore. Because that's the cause of our suffering. In reality, Krishna states that in Bhagavad Gita, the soul does nothing. Has nothing to do with this material body. Has nothing to do with this material mind. Suffering is experienced in the mind. But we are not the mind. So we are not suffering as a soul. But because we identify with the mind, we are suffering. But we are so conditioned, thinking we are this body. We have this condition for many millions of births in different species. We can't get rid of it so easy. But Bhakti Yoga is so strong that you can get rid of it. So yes, Krishna consciousness is based on changing our desire from trying to exploit the lower external material energy. We must give that up, trying to exploit the lower energy. We must connect with the spiritual energy, the divine energy, by engaging in devotional service. That we are higher energy as a spirit soul. But we have become a servant of the lower energy, the material body and the mind. And therefore, we have become conditioned by this lower energy. But we have the power to transcend, to again connect with the spiritual energy. And because we must learn, Krishna consciousness means learning how to find the protection of the spiritual energy by engaging in devotional service. It's very subtle. very subtle. Our conditioned state comes from the subtle. That material desire is very subtle in the mind. And that's the cause of our problems. But if we have spiritual desire in the mind, that's the cause of our liberation. So we must have the goal right. If we have the goal right, we will become purified. And then anti-kalevram, at the end of the body, we become free. So this is an introduction to that topic discussed here, because you have all these destinations of transcendentalists who have different goals. They get lower destinations. Anyway, I will speak about that also on the Sunday feast lecture, Sunday. I will discuss Bhagavad Gita 9:25. That's good. You can put it on the board, and then that discusses the principle of that. Bhagavad Gita. So, any questions? Yes.
Can you explain to us what is material desire and what is spiritual desire?
Yeah. Material desire is a desire to give pleasure to the body, mind, and senses. To the material senses. Spiritual desire is a desire to please Krishna's transcendental senses. That's what our Acharya is saying. That is spiritual love. Yes. Something else? Yeah.
Thank you for that. Well, I have two questions in one.
We start with one question.
It's related with the thoughts. Because in the Java, for example, the thoughts are related with service. Let's say that how to do better Harinam, how to do better food distribution, how to put more beautiful the temple. These kind of thoughts are in passion or are transcendental thoughts. And the other part of the question
Okay,
is that
one question is
A devotee said to Prabhupada, thank you. Without you, I would have been in Maya now. Prabhupada replied, you are always in Maya. So we chant the holy name. The name is very powerful. But if due to our material desires, we have an offensive mentality, and that power doesn't manifest. Chanting the holy name, if we are pure, we are meditating on Krishna, on his holy name, which is Krishna. And from that, his beautiful form will manifest his qualities, his entourage in his pastimes. When we're transcendentally situated, there are no material thoughts. There are no thoughts related to this material world. And therefore, when you chant the pure name like that, that's Sudanam, you feel immediately great ecstasy. And you lose your interest for everything in this material world. And but your minds are making plans for this and that. And by that we are chanting, but the door of love of God that is closed. But we are chanting. It gives very little effect. It gives effect, it's purified, but very little. the more one becomes purified, the more this attraction for Krishna will be greater. We are in this world. Every moment we can be thrown out. Every moment. So what's your connection with this world? The next moment you are not in this world anymore. It's Maya. It's illusion. And the mind makes plans in this illusion. It's very strong. Therefore, I shouldn't say it's obstinate, it's so obnoxious. Very difficult to control. More difficult than controlling the wind. But Krishna answers, yes, you can do it. But with the attachment and suitable practice. Suitable practice. And the most suitable practice for this age is chanting the holy name. But to come to that stage, we must get mercy. Mercy of the spiritual master. Prabhupada and the spiritual master. Without their mercy, we can't do anything. It's by their mercy we become purified. On our own strength, it's not possible. We cannot go out on our own strength. And that we need to understand that we are subjects of mercy. But once you get some mercy, sometimes Krishna gives you some mercy, gives you a glimpse. And that gives us spermtaste van die wordt dat we get a little higher taste. And by that we need that. Yeah. But it depends on our humility and our patience. Does that help? Yeah, I have still 5 minutes. Any other question? Yeah.
The person who have this kind of thoughts related, let's say, with Sankirtan at the end of life, go back to Krishna or come here again?
But it are thoughts related to Krishna. And so Krishna says that whatever endeavor we make, there is no loss or diminution. So if your thoughts at the end of life is to engage in Sankirtan, you will get opportunities in your next life. And that's good. You stay on the path. But Lord Chaitanya can also give some special mercy, time of death. But for devotee, it doesn't matter. He just wants to engage in the service of Krishna. But in this material world, in the spiritual world, it doesn't matter. Good. Last question. Yeah.
So in the course of one life, we can cultivate so many desires at different times. So now you just said at the last moment or the last period of your life is what is taken account.
Yeah.
But Paramatma witnessed all your life, so likely you would fulfill desires you had previously also, or only the last,
Thank you for your question. Nothing happens by chance in this world. Usually, many people who had near-end experience, or a near-death experience, they saw at a moment of their life, they said it was like my whole life came to before my eyes. Last moment. Yeah, movie. So it means the thoughts of your death is the accumulation of your thoughts during your life mostly. And if most of your life you have spent in devotional service, it will certainly be related to Krishna. But if you have been all your life in Maya, then your thoughts will be with Maya, and Maya will be very, very happy to receive you next life again and slap you again. It's our choice. Good, thank you very much. Tantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.